Hello, and welcome back to S'mores, a Campfire Talk. And so, let's just get right into it. Today, we're going to talk about the topic of the older, middle, younger, only child mentality. Because, interesting enough, we all sort of have our own little introspect because we are all different. So, I'm going to go around the ring real quick and talk about which one is which. I'm the oldest child, so I have a younger brother, and that's it.
I'm second to youngest, so I'm middle and not at the same time.
You're middle
I have
young.
4 other siblings. Yeah. 3 older than me, 1 younger than me. I'm in the middle.
It's your boy. I'm the youngest. 2 older sisters.
I would say youngest / middle.
Yeah.
But mostly youngest.
Okay.
So for me, I have 5 siblings. They're all sisters, but I never grew up with them. So I never had them around the house. So to me, I feel like an only child.
And then I am a middle child with an older sister and then a younger brother. Right smack dab in the middle.
Right smack dab in the middle. So we have oldest, young, middle, young sort of middle, only, and then true middle. So I think that this is sort of an interesting realm of aspects and different mentalities that we're going to see about each other. So I wanted to start off with something fun. And so I wanted to list off some certain traits that you feel like you either have or the other person has, either the oldest child has that or the youngest child or stuff like that. So first one is friendly. Who's the friendliest?
Youngest.
I would say youngest. I think my brother's the nicest between me and my sister.
Really? Okay, that's interesting. What would you think, Kaylee?
Yeah, I would say that. I'd say friendly as in outgoing or in a way.
More social in a way? Okay, got it.
Oh, the social butterfly? Mm-hmm. For me, the social butterfly is the oldest.
In a way, I guess. Yes, okay, I see what you're coming from. Okay, cool. Who is the most humble?
I want to say middle.
I would say
I want to say middle, too.
I want to say, one of the middles. Like an retrospective middle, you know?
Yeah.
Just the whole range. Then there's the most argumentative.
The middle.
Middle.
Yeah. Middle for sure.
Middle causing the problem.
Yeah.
Middle be having issues.
I don't know.
They really do.
I disagree with that. My oldest sister is hostile.
I feel
not older siblings or whatever. I feel I don't know. They come in swinging. That's what I feel like.
Since Kaylee brought that up, as my brother has gotten older, he has turned into more of an a-hole. So I guess he would be more argumentative than me, or we'd be at the same level as he's getting older. Because before he would just be chilling, having a great time, and now he wants to fight everybody. And I'm like, stop.
That is sort of also teenage hormone stuff as well. Argumentative.
Yeah. The least argument I think would be my sister though, as the oldest. She's the chillest out of all of us.
Who is the most intelligent child?
I feel like that's a tough one.
Yeah, I'm not really sure about that.
Because we depend on how you grow up and depend on the outside force. I can say I'm the most intelligent out of my siblings because of who I'm around now. You know what I mean?
Okay, got it.
I don't know if I could say who grew up the most intelligent.
And I think intelligent means more aware of surroundings, if that makes sense. More, almost street smart in a way, in intelligence. But like you said, it sort of goes with how you grew up. So next one is, who is the most cunning? Who can get away with it? I think this is sort of a middle, only younger scale. And it depends on how you're raised as well.
Yeah, I was yes.
I feel all of the questions are how are you raised? Depends on the family.
Because knowing your parents and how they interact with their elders, you can kind of not manipulate, but you can kind of maneuver around certain things.
That's a youngest sibling statement right there. That's a youngest sibling statement. And lastly, who is the most mature?
Yeah, it depends.
Because you can put it on the oldest, because they grow up first. They don't have anybody to go off of, so they have to, mature faster. And then after that, siblings come after them, so they're gonna have to be able to kind of teach the youngers also. So I feel I'll give it to more older siblings.
Yeah, I guess they do have to be more mature.
I can definitely tell how everybody's been differently raised because everybody has different reactions to these questions, which is kind of funny. So, what do you like about being in your age range? Like, how do you like being like the middle sibling, the older sibling, the younger sibling? Like, what do you like about that instead of what do you dislike?
I guess one thing I hear a lot about siblings is I feel like they're growing up together is like the division that the parents has to like distribute out of like affection or something like that.
Or something like that.
Like they have
if
to
you don't know.
yeah, that's what I heard. But they have to like make sure like each one gets its own like attention to make sure like they feel loved. But there's like so much, and like they're one parent, and they have like multiple kids.
That's a unique perspective because I feel like everybody in this room has like that sort of.
Yeah, which is interesting for me to listen to.
Okay. Personally, I think being the oldest child, I like the feeling of like being given a responsibility, if that makes sense. Like I like being able to accomplish something in a way. So like, hey, look after your little brother while I'm gone, sort of thing. Like I like the fact that I like was given that role. Like I have the responsibility in order to take care of that instead of the one like given to.
Yeah, like you are the responsibility that needs to be taken care of. You're not the one taking care of the
Oh,
responsibility.
okay, yeah. I
like
like
that's what you're trying to say?
So you like more of like the caretaker kind of.
everybody's like, okay.
Yeah, like emotional care.
Yes.
Giver, not
emotional.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna go off the younger sibling because I was the youngest sibling for like 12 years of my life. I like being the younger sibling or whatever because you have someone to look up to, and I like that. Like looking at him, like looking at my brother or my sisters making dumb decisions, and then I can be like, wow, I don't have to do that.
Mm.
Or like you learn from them. You learn a lot from your older siblings, so I like that.
Cool.
So from another like younger aspect, I honestly like how chill it was for like my family, because I didn't really have to worry about anything. I was spoiled, but like it wasn't like an entitlement kind of like arrogant type spoiled. It's just like I never had to really worry about anything. I didn't talk back to anybody. I stayed in my place, and I was kind of stupid, you know what I mean? I stayed quiet, and I got whatever I wanted pretty much.
How about you, Isabel?
That's a tough question because sometimes I like being the middle child because this sounds bad because I'm kind of looked over a lot, so I can just like chill in the background, do what I like, do my thing, while everyone else like has the attention of my parents. So I'm like, sweet.
Yeah. And I'm just gonna call myself a middle sibling because I grew up with like my older brother was the most like present out of like my oldest siblings. So it's like my younger sister, me, and then my older brother. So like I resonate with what you said or whatever. Like like I believe that's true. Where it's like I like the feeling that I can disappear in the crowd or whatever. It's like there's a lot of chilling in the background for me, that's for sure. Just like you just do your own thing and then you listen and you watch everybody else. But then like when you actually do want something, I think it can be a little bit harder to get it because like you're always chilling in the background. So it's like, how am I now I don't know exactly what to do to get this attention or whatever that I need. So it's like a blessing and a curse for me, I think.
That sort of like leaned into the next question, which is what do you not like about being the age group that you are? So if you wanted to start off with that as well, since you had that thought.
I think it's kind of the same thing because if you're sort of the background person, you end up doing a lot of stuff on your own. I think maybe more on your own than other siblings, and so I don't know. I know I don't like being like told what to do either because it's like I don't know. I'm a person that like figures stuff out by myself. I like go off by myself to do something. So it's like I don't like other people like inserting their like opinions or whatever into like stuff that I'm doing if I'm like by myself already. I think that's I don't know. I don't know if that's what I don't like about being the middle child, but that seems like what happens. It's like if you have older siblings, it's like their like views or something like, or their personality more imposed over you than the other way around.
So being the youngest, honestly, like I didn't really enjoy, I guess you could say, the hate from older siblings. I understood it in a way of, okay, do right so I don't get yelled at. But then there was a point to where as I grew up and everything, they stop getting in trouble for my actions. So at that point, I'm like, why are you still yelling at me if you don't have to face consequences? And pretty much like, as the youngest, you feel like you're always the baby. No matter how old you get, no matter how mature you get, you will always be looked at as the younger, the little, the whatever. And that, I'll be honest, it annoys me. I'll be honest. But I realize I haven't really exhibited like the matureness that I've been seeking from others.
Personally, I like being the oldest. I don't know why. I just mess with it.
That's what older people would say.
This say.
That's what they all say.
Say, oh,
No,
I'm the
but
oldest.
if there was one thing that, like, whenever I was very young, I didn't like about being the oldest, it sort of like goes in the retrospect of why I like being the oldest, and that is I didn't like getting in trouble for other people's like faults. So like, me and my brother could do the exact same thing, and he will not get in trouble, but I will. But that also sort of falls into line of why I like being the oldest, which is like the responsibility part in a way. So like it is like sort of if I wanted that much responsibility, is that not like sort of like the steps I had to take? I would get in trouble if that happened in a way because I wanted that responsibility. So whenever it didn't work. But then again, like little brother would be like, you know, maybe
Waiting for you to say that.
So no, but overall, like I think I enjoy being the older child. I don't think it's nearly as taxing as being like the middle or the younger or the only. Alrighty. So this is a more specific question. This is where we're gonna see where the marbles shatter. So for the middle children, being the middle child, would you have 3 children?
That's a good question.
Yeah, because in my family, like extended family and stuff, that's like the number of kids that like everybody's had. Like everybody's had 3 kids, except for like my cousins. They've only had 2 kids. So it's always been like, I guess like the magic number. So in my eyes, I guess like seeing myself in the future, I always had 3 kids. But now pointing that out, I never really thought of that. I don't know. I think about, I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. Yeah, I don't know.
We can sit here and wait for a little bit for y'all to like get thoughts in, because I did drop a little bomb on y'all without telling y'all. So
I consider myself a middle child, but I'm also one of 5, 3 of which are older than me. So I'm not sure how that would like. It's also like it's kind of like 2 in the middle if you think about it. Mm-hmm. It's like 1 youngest, 1 oldest, 2 or 3 in the middle if you want to put it that way. But like I don't really know how that affects like me technically. So I don't really know like what true middle would
The true middle.
but sort of like for you, for example, I just said 3 because like there is a middle child.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of like, would you have middle children since you are a middle child?
I don't think I would have like 1 kid to me. I don't think I would do it. I would always like, my thing is always like, if I were to have kids, I'd always want them to have a sibling.
Yeah, like I wouldn't want to have. Yeah, I would want like my kid to have a sibling, but at the same time, I don't know if I would just want 2 kids, if that makes sense. But then again, I don't think I want 4. So it's like, so I guess yeah, because again, like that's just what I've known. Like everybody that like I've known has 3 kids. So it's like, in my eyes, that's always been like, oh, you're supposed to have just 3 kids. But yeah, I have no idea. I think, I wonder if you have them closer together in age, if that would make a difference. Or farther apart in age. Who knows? Because my sister and I, that's almost 7 years. And then my brother and I is 3 years. My sister and I would get into like fist fights and stuff. Like we'd be fighting each other until she moved away, and then we finally got along. So yeah, we didn't get along until I was like 13, because that's when she finally moved out. But yeah, and then so we like never got along, never saw eye to eye until that point. And then my brother and I feel like because we're so close, that there was also a problem there. I don't know, because we have like the big gap and then like no gap. It's just like I don't know.
Big gap, little gap.
Big gap, little gap, both. So who knows? We'll see when we get there.
And so I also had a question for Ricky. Being the only child, would you only have 1 kid?
Just 2. If I had to, but I'm really like not pressed on like force like you know.
No, I get what you're saying. No, the reason why I asked the question is sort of like because now you put yourself into the mentality of like the children that you're going to raise or you might raise one day, sort of thing. And so like, would you do that if you had the option? If that makes sense.
Well, okay, I have a question real quick. I was gonna ask, like, if you have something like 2 kids, like, does the oldest, youngest, middle, like, mentality for children change if you have like 2 kids? Is somebody gonna have like a middle kid syndrome if there's 2 kids? You know what I mean? Like, does it just get smaller as the scope of children like decreases?
I feel like that sort of like either goes to the oldest or the youngest in a certain way.
Yeah.
Do you have an opinion on that or no?
I don't know, but that is kind of how I grew up. It was like just me and my brother because all my older siblings were like gone. So, like the gap is so big that they were already gone. So for so many years, it was just me and the older sibling. And it wasn't really like, no, I guess nobody really got like attention deprived or whatever. I feel like we were both pretty even in the attention department because there's like 2 of us. But I do think that we were way closer because me and my brother are only like a year apart. So like growing up with him, it's like you go through everything together. So like if he was in trouble, I probably had something to do with it too. So I got in trouble. So we always were tied together. So I think it built a really like close bond. But like for the attention thing, I don't think either of us really ever lacked attention from our parents because there's only 2 of us, so there really was like no middle. It was really just older and younger. I mean, like, sure, there were times where like, oh, she's the youngest kid or whatever, so she gets that. But then like I'd be like, oh, you're the older kid, so you get that first. But but yeah, so there really wasn't that much of a problem.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say too, because my cousins, they're a year apart. They're both girls, and yeah, they got along great, and like one got in trouble, the other one was in trouble, and they've never really had problems with each other, ever. They're like the same person. They're like this. You can't see my hand, but I'm crossing my fingers. Like, but yeah, like I think they never had a problem. They both got the same amount of attention. So maybe it just disappears completely with. You only have 2 kids.
Maybe. No, I had to like grow into my relationship with my brother because like at first it was like that sibling rivalry, like all the time. Like, and maybe it was because it was like boy girl, and so he's like 3 years younger than me, and I was just annoyed maybe I was just like during my teenage years and he was like still a kid and like during that like growth time I was just annoyed all the time. But I think as I got older, like we were more like friends than we were as younger kids. So
I don't really like, since I don't have a family or 2 or whatever, I imagine if both kids are the same sex and the gap is decent enough, I feel like one problem could be expectations, especially if the first kid is a star or whatever, or just like bigger in an instance. So like now you have something to almost live up to.
Mm-hmm. For sure. So Kaylee sort of has that. She's not like the only 2, but she has like a gap between her siblings, right?
Yeah. So like growing up, I pretty much like mostly grew up with my youngest sister, the same, and we're also like, she's like a year and a half younger than me or something. And yeah, so year and a half, 2 years. But yeah, I grew up with her, and then all of my like growing up, all of my older siblings were basically out of the house by that point. So I just kind of grew up with her. I don't think I felt any of the like what you're saying, like with the expectations necessarily, but maybe that's because I just didn't see them as much because they're already out of the house. But.
Is there any other topic that y'all would like to discuss in the older, middle, young only like sort of mentality? Is there any question that you have for the opposite or a different age range that you wanted to discuss?
One thing I'll say is like as the youngest, my older sister, like we lived with each other for like a good minute, but after a while, like since my parents are divorced, she like when we lived with our dad, and she moved like here with my mom. And then when we came out here, she moved back to Georgia. So like there was a pretty good like point where I like kind of stopped seeing her to where it was just like 2 people. And like my other sister, she had like the mentality of I'm older than you, I'm the boss of you, do this, do that for me.
Mm-hmm.
So like the part I kind of disliked is I'm not your slave kind of like mentality where it's like I don't have to do this for you just because you're like my older sister. I don't know what that means. Just because you were born first, like why do I have to do what you say?
That's interesting. Yeah. And then again, I'm trying to think back because like nowadays me and my brother have a great relationship. Like we're good. But I don't know if I was like that person back in the day. Like I don't know if I did do that. I'd have to think back more.
I'm thinking like you thought you had to take so much responsibility, right? You like the responsibility, so you had to make him act a certain way to make sure no crap happened.
It was like if he broke a lamp, he'd make up a story about how I was in the process of breaking this lamp, and I was like, I was never in that sort of thing. Like I was never there. Well, don't bring me into this, even though I wanted the responsibility of like he shouldn't have like broken the lamp in the first place. Like so. Like sort of hand in hand in a way.
I said honestly, I've gotten a taste of like each youngest, middle, and oldest. Like I've experienced being all of them. I was the youngest for a while, and then my little stepbrother comes in, and then I'm the middle, and then my older brother leaves, and then I'm the oldest. So then like each is like a different, and it's so weird how different they are when you're in it. So like the youngest is like, oh, like, let me be my own person. But then you get into the middle, and I really did disappear. Like, you guys did. Like, I was, like in the background, back scene. It was always about the youngest and the older. I was like, oh, I'm here. I'm just chilling. I'll always be in my room, locked up. And then when I get the older, you got a lot more responsibility for the younger one. And you're like, great. So yeah, that's like.
I was going to say we could talk. I wanted to, well, just now, as of this moment,
as it
kind
ended.
of interesting to talk about how we interact as quote unquote siblings, like how our birth order affects how we interact with each other in like
that's cool.
in a sibling kind of setting, if you know what I mean, because you know that's kind of how we act with each other. We're all friends. I don't know. I don't know how you feel, Isabel, but like I feel like I'm kind of the peacemaker of like the group, or it's like just kind of the bridge, like trying to smooth over stuff. It's like, guys, it doesn't have to be like this. It's just
That is Kaylee to a T.
That is me
it's
sometimes.
like I will fight you if you personally attack me, but it's like other than that,
Punch my face.
it's like I don't want other people to, if that makes sense.
I know. That's like, because I guess, yeah, like trying to keep everybody together. Like I've always been dubbed like the mom friend, but Lauren's like the legit mom friend. Like when Lauren's gone, I like try to fill in the mom friend role. In other groups of friends, I'm the mom friend. But in this group of people, Lauren's like a legit mom.
Like I have to make sure things are working. We gotta get this thing going. I ain't got no time, which is really funny because I never want to be a mom.
I was gonna say you sound like a mom. Just
Like,
Isn't that hilarious? That is the funniest,
It
most
is,
ironic thing to me. Is
That's
that
why
you
I
don't
always
be
think
mom.
you would be a good mom because you are on top of stuff like that.
The mom friend. Wow. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. No, it's sort of like, in a way, it's like, yeah, the mom friend, but at the same time, I'm like nearly the same age as y'all. So there's not that like sort of gap, distance, if that makes sense. So I like seeing everybody at the same like level with their same creation.
So one thing I always hear about the only child, which I guess I didn't know, but I guess other people looking out towards an only child, they always say that they're used to like being alone. So like sometimes they'll like go out and do stuff on their own, or like won't be around people, or like isolate themselves or whatever, like stuff like that. So like when I hear that, it makes sense. Sometimes I just like will go away and
Like
chill
Ricky's gone.
chill out by myself.
Yeah.
It's like, this is why we're always yelling at you. We're like, bruh. Yeah, that is a thing.
I
Because
guess I'm just used to it.
honestly, like since I had the problem of like not being, I guess, seen for my growth or whatever, I kind of refuse to look at you guys as above me in a way. Like I'll see your potential and everything, and I'm like, dang, I wish I had that, but I won't like see you guys as like older than me because you only got me by like 6 months.
Like we're all on level ground, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do y'all think about like each other and your roles with like, per se, like only, middle, young, whatever the heck you are? Like middle, young.
Healthy. I feel like the middle child. I guess I kind of have the same, not to the same degree, but like the whole blending into the background. Like if we're going out to do something, I'm like, ooh, it's a group activity. I'm gonna have fun. I'm gonna let y'all figure out what we're doing. I'm just gonna go for the ride.
You mentioned, because you and her are middle children, and I love planning things. Like I love it, and you're like, just let me know what we're doing.
Like, I
Yeah.
will do whatever you need me to do, like action wise. And like, you want me to drive? That's fantastic. You want me to do this? Great. But it's like the actual planning out of everything. It's just like no.
Yeah, like pretty much this whole.
Like I don't like it. It's just like
Yeah.
But no, I think we're like, and I think that's what we're learning now. I think it's relevant now that like we're learning all these roles that we have. Like Coach said, we all have our quote unquote like superpower, but we're also learning that we can be dynamic within those. Like somebody can step up for this, somebody can step back for that. Like we're just learning how to all be our own leader, like within and without of the group, I think.
But thank you guys for joining us today. If you have anything that you guys want to mention in the comments below, feel free to do so. Again, catch us next week for s'mores. I'll see you guys later.
See you
Bye-bye.
guys.
Bye.